Good morning, 5-6. Welcome back to another week's writing. For this week, we are continuing our narrative writing theme, and the title of our piece is going to be Lost Within the Kingdom of New Zealand. Now, there's going to be a couple of changes for this week. Probably the major one is that we are not going to provide you with a class story this week. The reason being is because we want to see how you go a little bit more independently. And the other thing is, it's very, very similar to the writing piece that we did last week when we were stuck in Kakadu. There are some changes, and I'll go through those in a minute, but generally, you're following the same sort of structure again. So that's why we're going to try to pull back a little bit more, and we might do some brainstorming in our WebEx meetings this week to try to help you out a little bit. So the first thing we'll do is we'll look at the introduction here, talk about where our setting is going to be. You're going to be touring with your family at Mount Cook. Okay, so Mount Cook is obviously a really famous place in New Zealand. It's a big mountain and it's very, very cold. It's full of snow. So if anyone's ever been to the snow before, try to remember back to your experience there. Think about what you did at the snow, what was around you, what you could see, what you could hear. And I'm guessing that would be pretty similar to what you would see at Mount Cook if you were visiting Mount Cook with your family. But usually we ask you to describe where the setting is, who are the characters, but we are telling you for this writing piece that you will be touring with your family. So you and your family will be the main characters, but you also might want to include some other important characters in your story as well. Okay, but for everyone, we are all touring with our family at Mount Cook. That's who we are with, and that is why we are there. Okay, that is for everybody. Secondly, you need to describe the weather. I will talk a little bit more about Mount Cook a little bit later on in the video, but remember it is cold, freezing, and snowing there. You then need to describe the landscape. What can you see? You'll be able to do that once we describe Mount Cook a little bit more to you. And the other thing we want you to do is focus on the sense of what you can hear. And you need to describe the noise. For example, are there any crowds? And you'd also describe probably some other senses there when you're describing the weather, about how cold you are, for example, how you can feel. For the next paragraph, this is where we are going to plant the seed. We are not going to reveal that we become lost here. We're going to wait to do that in our big bang uh-oh moment, which we'll get to in a minute, okay? But for some reason, we want you to leave your family, but you need to explain why. We've just got a few different examples here, but again, we would love if you could come up with your own interesting idea. But if you are really struggling, we've got a couple of things here for you. So you might go down a different track for some reason if you're on a walk with your family. Something could catch your eye, get mesmerized by something. You could follow footprints, or some sort of a sound. Again, you could just be really curious, where did that come from, that sound? I wonder where these footprints are leading. You could go on a little bit of an adventure. Or you might be on a chairlift, for example, and get stuck on a chairlift or get off at the wrong place, okay? But they are just some quick examples. Now, we go to our major paragraph here, the big bang or the uh-oh moment. This is now where we're actually going to reveal and you realize that you are lost, okay? You realize that you are all alone. What do you see? How do you feel? What can you see around you, okay? You'll need to use your senses as well. And this is where that vocab comes in, that really clever use of vocab. Okay, so if you're talking about your feelings, for example, how are you feeling? It would be great if we could see maybe a simile or a pair of three with three really, really nice words to describe your feeling. Terrified, frightened, these sort of words would be fantastic. Or I know that people are even thinking more than that. Okay, even for some people, terrified and frightened isn't good enough these days, which is absolutely fantastic. So if you can, please try to extend your use of vocab. That will ensure that this paragraph is really, really powerful. Okay, but remember, try to think of an interesting twist if you can within these next couple of paragraphs. Maybe your interesting twist could happen in this paragraph. What happens next? Okay, so do things go from good to bad or bad to worse? Do you get found? If so, how? Okay, I would highly recommend for most people that you do get found in this paragraph, okay, or you get your way out of this sticky situation, because what I'd like you to do in your conclusion is be back safe and sound with your family, okay, and this way we can relate this and link this back to our introduction. Okay, so again, how do we feel? How do you feel? Sorry, Did you learn a lesson, or is there a moral to the story? So, for example, if you're walking with your family and all of a sudden you follow some footprints or a sound and go off track from your family in a really unfamiliar place, then that could be maybe a moral or a lesson that you've learned, okay? But as always, with our conclusion, we want you to try to relate back to that introduction if possible, okay? So again, describing the setting, who we're with, you're with your family. Here, this is where we plant the seed to lead up to our big bang. Remember, we don't become lost here, but this is where we may go down a different track. Something catches our eye, okay, and we lead up to getting lost. In the top paragraph, you reveal that you are lost, okay? Think of an interesting idea as to how you become lost. And then what happens next? Okay, do you get found? I would recommend that all of you do get found, or else maybe you make your own way back to your family as well. Someone may not necessarily come and find you. You may find your way back on your own. Okay, but try to do that in an interesting way if you can. And then with the conclusion, you should be now back safe and sound with your family. Okay, and feeling very, very relieved. Okay. So that is the mountain plan for today. Remember, you will be receiving a blank mountain plan so you can fill in your own information within. Oh, so for this week as well, we are also providing you with a quick plan. It's very similar to the one that we completed when we were stuck in Kakadu. So I'll quickly go through the main points. A couple of these things have changed, but it's pretty much the same as I said. So who are the main characters? Remember, this is going to be you and your family. If you are including any extra characters, please make sure that you list them there. What is the weather like? What's the season? Is it day or night? Remember, the weather, it's going to be cold, okay, because we're all at Mount Cook, as we explained before. Why are you at Mount Cook? Remember, you are touring with your family. You're on a holiday. Who or what gets lost? I'll actually change that now to who gets lost. Next one is how do you get lost? What problems do you face because you are lost? You know, you might become really, really cold or you'll become really, really scared. Okay, remember, we will brainstorm some of these ideas in our WebEx meetings. Who finds you, or how do you make your way back? We've already talked about that, obviously, in our mountain planner. Remember, this is just designed just so all of your main ideas are just down there in the one sheet, and you can refer back to this really, really easily. And these are all really important questions that you'll need to answer within your story, okay? And then, just like we had with our previous quick plan as well, you've got a space where I can't even talk at the moment, can I? Apologies. You've got a space where you can include all of your powerful vocab that you're going to include within your story. And then we have that section as well where you can keep a track of your powerful strategies. And I've got here, remember to sprinkle them throughout your story. So I try to always ask my class for a minimum of 3 powerful strategies within each paragraph. But remember, you can also go over the top. So if each sentence has some sort of a powerful strategy, sometimes the reader can actually lose meaning if you're overusing these strategies. So please make sure that you just sprinkle them around your paragraphs, okay? That makes it more powerful than actually overusing them, okay? I do say a minimum of 3, but remember, you can go more than that if you'd like to. For example, in the introduction, if I use onomatopoeia, I'll just go intro. I might use some alliteration and maybe some personification. So that's all I'd have to do there in regards to actually filling in that quick planner with the powerful strategies. Okay, so I think what we need to do now is have a quick look at Mount Cook. All right, so here is a picture of the Mount Cook National Park. It's actually in the South Island of New Zealand. You've got the North Island and you've got the South Island. But have a look at that landscape there. Isn't it amazing? Because you can see within the mountains, you've got a heap of snow there, but then you've also got some greenery at the bottom of the mountain there. But we would be located right at the top of the mountain there. So you can see those huge peaks around. You can imagine the view that you'd have, maybe if you're in a chairlift, right at the top of the mountain there. You can imagine the view when you'd be skiing down that mountain. Wouldn't that be amazing? Or tobogganing down that mountain. There's another view there. So isn't it amazing, as I said, that right down the bottom, you can see that green. Isn't that a contrasting sort of a landscape? If you looked at just this part of the picture, you could think that you're anywhere, couldn't you? Maybe on a farm somewhere on a bright and sunny day. But remember, we will be right up here at the top. So when you're describing the view, you might want to describe some of that greenery if you're looking down. But remember, we won't be surrounded by this greenery. We'll be surrounded by these huge peaks, huge slopes, and lots of snow. Okay, so hopefully that will give you a little bit of an idea about what Mount Cook actually looks like. I'm not going to show you a heap of images about people skiing and all the rest. You can have a pretty good idea, I think, about what sort of things that you'd be doing at the snow. And again, if you don't have a really good idea about that, we can brainstorm these type of things within our WebEx meeting. So hopefully that's given you a little bit of help today. Good luck with your planning. And if you do have any questions about this, remember to ask your teachers before you start your writing today so we can help you along with your planning. Have a great day, and I'll see you again tomorrow for our introduction. Bye.